That was 6.
Oh, start. Welcome to the jungle. Come on, what happened? Hello, everyone. We were going to have a rock star start today, but then the heck with it. I'm so glad you guys made it on the webinar today. I know it's a little bit of short notice. We are going to be offering these webinars once every first Tuesday of every month.
Yep.
And this is going to be members-only replay. That means that only people who are networkempire.com paid members at the very minimum requirement, which is our basic membership at networkempirebasic.com, will have access to these replays. And we're doing this to entice new people to get on the calls and people who are a little bit nervous about getting into things that seem scary, like website-style architecture, and they've heard that Sue has whips and chains and stilettos, and all that's true, but the main thing is that you just need to be able to have your questions answered. And we decided unilaterally that we just need to have regular inside scoop stuff going on so that you guys feel free to ask questions. Okay? So the main thing I also want to add before we start is I'm going to go over the format of this particular webinar. Main thing is Sue's going to cover a few topics such as membership area changes, how we're going to be moving forward, and we are going to be briefly covering a 204-point checklist that Sue has never exposed publicly before on any webinar, and we're not going to go over every one of those points. However, the point checklist will be available to members only, networkempire.com members, inside the members area shortly after this call. That's fairly major, so I want to make sure that you guys are aware that anytime you want to look back on the details of that checklist, that it will be available. The bulk points, the major framework points will be going over in this call. The rest of the call will be primarily just bouncing off of your questions and hopefully segueing into things that are related to website-style architecture. But anything goes in this call. We're going to try to keep it under an hour and 15 minutes. I know that's a tall order. As we have people trickling in, I'm stalling here because I want to make sure that everybody gets into the call. But we'll just be doing whatever format. We already have the questions coming in, and we'll try to keep up with them. If for some reason your question doesn't get answered, I'm going to try to address them either in some form of written context, or they may be pushed forward into the next month. Of course, if you are networkempire.com basic members, one of the advantage, Jonathan, yes, this call will be recorded. However, it will be available only to members of networkempire.com. The replay will not be public. Okay? It's 4 a.m. there in Singapore. Thanks for getting up so early to be on this call. I really appreciate that.
Let me pass you some coffee.
Again, we're passing you some coffee. We made coffee for everyone. So we're going to be FTP it up to the server now for you. And we'll leave a link. Okay, so let me just think what's going on here now. Sue, do you just want to jump in and start some of these questions, or do you want to create a format?
Sure. Well, let me talk first for a couple of minutes about some of the changes that we've made to the members area that I'm really kind of excited about. And I'm logged in obviously as admin, and so you're going to see some of the stuff that's not quite available yet. Some of the stuff that we're still working on. You can see like the one feed course and the pin vid course. And I know Russ is excited about those things, and I'm sure he'll talk about them in a minute. But the stuff that's available right now, we've been working on the software reviews area back in the box. And I wanted to let you guys know I've been working really hard on testing backlinking software. And I've just added a review for Link Emperor, if you guys want to check it out. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You guys can take a look. And then we just made a new page for, and I'm not sure where it landed, I think up at the top, member special offers. And right now we've got some of the courses that we've offered, like the Local Leads Business in a Box course that Matt did a couple months ago. The price went up to non-members to $500, but I wanted to be able still, for our members who hadn't had a chance to take a look at it yet, I wanted you guys to be able to get it still at the members only price. So that's in there for $350. There's the one feed to rule them all course. That's going to be sold to non-members for $97, and this is where you guys can pick up your membership for that course at $47. And One of the other changes that we made just in the last couple of days, guys have been having some problems with the Cora bot. Now, the Cora application is scheduled to be launched in December, but that's a long way away for guys who are still trying to use that application right now. So Matt just made some updates to the Cora bot, and you can pick it up right here on the landing page of the Cora Empire. So those are the things that are going on right now, right at the moment, like the changes that we've made this week. Is there anything else that you can think of that I've forgotten, Ross?
There's a lot of stuff, but I think that's a great primer of things that we've added. I don't want to overwhelm. I want to stay real focused on the questions. But yeah, you did a great job. And there is a great opener question, actually, that I think Alex left. I don't know if you want to start on your own. Or...
Sure. Let's go for it. I'm here. Stick me on the hot seat.
Okay. Alex, I need advice on how to link my 50-plus highly relevant network of sites, second or third ring, okay, to my main money site to boost rankings. What services would you recommend to use for splitting sites on different IPs? Okay, great question. Should I link them from homepage and site-wide, and it's the whole scrambled egg thing? So,
okay, great question. So let's bounce right back to here. Let's take, for example, that each one of these, instead of representing a social media platform, actually represented one of your sites, and then here in the middle you've got your money site. What you want to do, you don't want to cross-link between these. That's a taboo these days. It's always been something that I never did, but these days it's everybody knows. Well, I won't say everybody knows not to do that, but it's much more prolifically taught not to do that. Just because what that does is it exposes your network, and if Google finds that one of these is compromised in one way or another, then your whole network can go down. So you don't want to cross-link. So you want to link from those into your money site, and so then you want to link. You want to do predominantly social links, and when I say social links, it covers a wide gambit of things that people don't usually think of as social sites. So for me, like eZinearticles.com, I guess those are more promotional sites, blogger.com, other types of third-party platforms, anything that's a third-party platform that's used a lot. Those are the kinds of things that I would link into to build page rank on your privately held domains, and then your privately held domains link into your WR1 or money site. Does that make sense? Okay.
It looks like, I want to make sure, Alex's question is fairly complex, and I know that.
Yeah.
Okay,
what services would I recommend for splitting sites on different IPs? So what you're going to want to do there, you can do two different things, right? You can go buy a bunch of really cheap hosting platforms and a lot of different companies, and that will get you a different IP for each one of those. But in those cases, you're still sharing IPs, obviously, with other domains that aren't yours. And if you're going to do something like that, I wouldn't put more than 2 or 3 sites on a single IP. I mean, if you're really paranoid about it. And the other thing that you can do is you can go with one of the more expensive packages and then buy a separate IP for each site. So you can go to someplace like Liquid Web, and you can get one of their small servers, a dedicated server, and you can get as many IPs as you want. It's a nominal charge, like $5 or $10 a month per IP. So either of those, I've gone both of those routes. And
we've done a lot of that, and also I'm currently, we have our old friend Vinny who's working on diversified IPs, and I've used things like SEO hosting when John still ran that company before he sold it. And these are the real question that I get from a lot of you guys, and I don't really know. Yeah, there it is, Alex. C blocks, blah blah blah. Okay, I just want to address the C block thing. I'm going to let Stu get into it. I find that what happens is most people who are worrying about diversification across multiple C blocks should not be worrying about diversification across multiple C blocks. Almost always. I mean, they read something or they hear something that, you should diversify your C blocks and the rest. But I mean, I know that you should, But most of the energy in the initial phases of launching an empire should be focused on, just generally getting, multiple backlinks to your site and so on and so forth. Now, that being said, it is ideal to have, unique IP addresses, right, Sue? I mean, I'll let you address this, but I find that there's a lot of people working way too hard, and they don't have the skill set to diversify their C blocks really, and then they don't launch because they think they're doing something wrong.
Well, it's become easier and easier to be able to see in reports from like SEMrush and Majestic SEO what the C blocks are of your inbound links. So I actually think that that's becoming a little bit more important if you're afraid of being reported. If you're in a market that's highly competitive and you think that your competitors are going to snitch on you. But I also have to say you're going to want to do a whole bunch of other things in terms of masking your footprint besides IP. There's so many things that can leave a footprint. Stuff like Google Analytics can leave a footprint. If you've got all your Google Analytics you got all your sites in the same
Sure.
Google Analytics thing, then you can cross-reference those numbers man, just the way you set up your sites, you got to make sure, obviously, that your whois is masked. That's an interesting thing. I have not ever put together a list. Let me do that for our next call.
We should.
List.
Yeah, because I was sitting there right there with Matt Cutts and those guys at SEO conference, and even 3 years ago, and the big question for international search was diversification of C blocks. How deep does Google go in analyzing C block? And this was over 3 years ago, right? So you've been telling us that it started to change. At the time, he was saying they do watch for dirty neighborhoods, they do watch for porn blocks, they do watch for all that stuff.
Yeah, they do.
So it gets kind of interesting. And I did have good luck with SEO hosting. It's so easy. And, again, Sue, I think what he's really asking is we've had to build our own back-end system to do this. So
right.
He's actually looking for a public service. So that should help you a little, Alex, as we had to build our own stuff. Sue does crazy stuff that's not for sale and all that. But the main thing is that SEO hosting I can't recommend anymore because since we started doing our own version of everything, I don't really know how effective it is. Okay, so we'll compile some more information for you and see. Our friend Vinny was actually talking about that's what he's doing is diversified stuff, but we haven't tested his service either. So maybe we could come up with a list, Sue, for next time, and
yep.
and that way we'll be we just can't recommend. Sue never recommends any product or service that she hasn't tested on our own network. So
yeah,
since we have something we can't sell you, it's private. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, so we'll try to come up with something. All right, let me look at some other questions here. Kevin McCarthy, I don't understand exactly what you're saying there. Could you please give us a little more insight into that, what you mean by SEO and class service? Sue probably knows, but Eve, let me just get your question out of the way. I know you're really excited about the one feed to rule them all and Google Plus stuff. I'm aware of the confusion. I was going to wait till the end of this call to kind of close with that and let everybody know what we're doing to clear up the confusion. It's essentially going to be one course. Called the One Feed to Rule Them All course, and it's going to launch with a free webinar starting on, oh my goodness, Tuesday of next week.
Yeah, a week from today.
I haven't had a chance to get the email out because we're doing a webinar launch, and we're going to walk everybody through the Google++ RSS feed generator and why the crazy mad scientists are playing around with Google+ automation. So you can decide whether you want to do that, but it's going to be a precursor to the One Feed to Rule Them All course you've been waiting around for 2 years. And it's pretty much done. Sue's got it all mapped out, and I'm madly trying to upload the content to the members area. It's going to be a webinar. It's going to be $97 for the public and $47 for close Network Empire members. And that will be the following, is it the following Tuesday?
The following Tuesday, the 20th of November, yep.
Yeah. And guys, we're going to send all the links and all this. I don't want to inundate you. I'm aware that Eve is really, I get emails from you, Eve, saying, when's it going to be done? So it is done. And here's a special announcement. We are giving special announcement, Eve. We are providing done-for-you services. Our trained staff on doing that for you. So in the event that you're going through our course and you just go like we did a year ago, oh my God. If you end up doing that and you just say, hey, here's $30, $50, whatever, we'll do it for you, okay? So we've got all that set up, and the buy buttons for the done for you will be ready to do that as well. Okay, let's go ahead and jump to a new question.
Yeah.
Sue, are you ready? Do you want to pick, or should I pick for you?
Go for it.
Okay.
Pull a question out of the hat.
Okay, Jonathan, and then I'm going to go back towards the beginning for some of you
Okay.
who've been waiting around. I'll pull Jonathan's real quick. Would you think this is all just to keep safe from a manual review? Okay, he's getting into Google manual review,
Right.
which I have a lot to say about. Go ahead, Sue.
Yes, if it's not a manual review, if it doesn't get reported, they're not looking at IPs at the moment, and they're not going to look, they don't have the automation to look too closely at footprints. Now, what I found really interesting, I have recently acquired access to a slew of blogs that were pinged from a couple of different Panda and Penguin updates, and as you guys know, I don't have any of my own that got hit because I just don't do that kind of stuff. So, so I hadn't had access to enough to really do any back engineering as to what might have gone wrong or what like to really get behind the algorithms of what they're doing with Penguin and Panda, and what I determined was, at least in the case of these blogs, they're looking for a flag. So what happened with these blogs was they had, a lot of them had a plugin that just caused a flag. And when they were flagged, then they were evaluated more closely. And when they were evaluated more closely, it still wasn't a manual evaluation, it was all automated, but when they were evaluated more closely, they realized that like all of the inbound links went to pages, all the valuable inbound links went to pages that no longer existed because the domains had been bought and repurposed, right? And so there were issues all of a sudden, and so therefore they completely lost all of their page rank, and they were immediately de-indexed.
Yep.
It wasn't there wasn't actually anything that they did wrong on the blog, but because they had this plugin that caused the flag, then the deeper analysis took place, and then they lost the page rank. So what I'm looking at is I can't tell you what things they're going to pick for flags in the future, right? So if you ask me, like, what is it, the manual review that you're worried about? I'm like, well, yeah, at the moment it's a manual review. They don't do that on an automated basis. In the future, could they pick IP clusters to go and look at and cause flags? Absolutely. So
yeah, absolutely. And it was kind of interesting because recently on, and again, all of you know that you have to take some of the things that they say over at Google with a grain of salt, but I do subscribe to Matt Cutt's Webmaster Help channel. And sometimes there's interesting things said when you read between the lines. And what I found very interesting is his recent publication. I just sent Jonathan the link to that video, where it's talking about, does Google take manual action on web spam, so on and so forth. And of course they do. But what I found very interesting is the way that they said they did it. And they do the regular automated approach, and then they have the team, a sample team of people go through and say, okay, what results look the best?
right.
This is done with thousands of people. And from that sample, they reconfigure and create another mathematical algorithm that's then automated.
Yeah.
So that's the definition of cybernetics, folks, which is the word I keep throwing around in all the webinars, and some of you guys email me and say, what the heck are you talking about? Cybernetics is simply a fusion between technical and fundamental analysis. In other words, human and machine analysis. And it's getting more and more intense for them. And I found it really cool in that video I just sent you, Jonathan. He does talk about that. I would love to drop that to everybody, but
you can.
Sue, how do I drop a link to everyone?
In the long panel where it's got on the air at the top, there's a way to talk to the entire audience at the bottom. The other thing you can do is over there in the chat window where you talk to him, when you type something in, you can say send to all.
Okay, and everybody will get that. All right,
Yeah.
I'll just hit that again. That I know how to do. I'll just drop the link. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's kind of interesting. Again, it is Google, so remember that it's PR, but at the same time, there is some basic insights into how they operate. Okay. All right, let's make sure. Let me go back to some of the beginning questions, Sue.
Sure.
Here's something that Eve dropped right when she came in. I find it interesting. I'm curious what your response is going to be. This is a long-time question she's had, just kind of lingering around.
Okay.
Once a keyword has achieved top rankings, how do you suggest continual syndication and promotion? do you cut the original promotion plan in half, or do you follow the rule of thumb of at least one web page update per week? How do you reconcile the DWS content and the promo schedule with the suggestion and the Google++? Okay, I can, some of that involves stuff that I need to clear up.
Okay.
The G++ and content curation courses. So why don't you hit it first, and I can back you up on it.
All right. So I actually back way off from my rather aggressive inbound linking protocols for ranking. How often is going to depend. I would say something like 1/10 the number of inbound links that I was doing before. So that means the more competitive the keyword was, the more I was hitting that keyword anyway, or the more competitive the keywords on the page, the more often I was inbound linking to the page. So I suspect half is still going to be too, unless you're in a really highly competitive market where your competitors are right on your heels, and as soon as they saw you starting to build links, they were building links, then you might want to only back off to a half, because you know they're going to catch you if you take it down too far. But most of the niches and stuff, they're pretty quiet, and most people, they go, wow, I lost my #1 ranking, I don't know what to do. You know, they're not too aggressive about it. And so those things, I just pull it back enough so that I keep activity on the site. I always want to make sure, you know, we set up the one feed so that it goes to all of our social platforms and does some automatic curation so that all I have to do is put out a blog post and it's going to cause activity. And I want to make sure that the activity stays up, right? So my biggest thing is I want to drive traffic. I want to drive sales. So I don't back off on that at all. And if most of my inbound links are coming in off of that social communication, then that doesn't really back down. So for example, we just took on a client who puts out like 3 or 4 promotions a month typically. So that's basically every week we're going to be looking at a new product distribution. And I want to make sure that that product gets out everywhere, right? So even so, we're going to only do a couple blog posts a week. By the time you replicate that blog post out amongst a half a dozen different major platforms and then several dozen different minor platforms, you've got, what, 40, 50 inbound links that are going to happen with every single blog post. And I'm not talking bookmark type stuff. I'm talking, you know, Scoop It and Quora and, you know, decent type inbound links. So so that really helps to keep your inbound links up pretty effortlessly. All you're actually doing is promoting your stuff. Was there a second part to that question that you wanted to cover, Russ?
Yeah. Well, again, I'd like to address just Eve personally with it because I've known her for a long time. I think it might be helpful, Eve, if you begin to think of frequency as one algorithm, that it is frequency of pinging, and something that has become very important for Google is the frequency. Sue and I were calling it dynamic content density back in 2007, and we predicted it 5 years ago, and now it's here as a most definitely part of whether a site is dead or not. We can vouch for that because we just looked at a network of sites that's been de-indexed and it's had problems, and we're befuddled to find that there's really, other than the first ping that goes out when you publish a WordPress blog, there's no other activity happening. There's no dynamic content. There's no updating of new posts. And you guys have seen all the new plugins coming out by everybody, like, you know, Feed Refresher, Refreshinator, and all these different things. All those things are designed to do, guys, is just make sure that something is pinging and publishing and getting, you know, activity happening on the blog with new content, that things are getting mixed up, and that it's just not stagnant. And so dynamic content density has to kind of be seen as something. It's becoming more and more part of just general algorithm of legacy, but it's pretty new because you think about how easy it is to put up a blog to generate, you know, new blogs and these things. It's taken a while for Google to come to capacity and figure out how to put all those things together. I mean, you remember Technorati? You know, everybody remember the Technorati blog index? Well, what happened to it? You know, it's just, if you go there, you can see it's just like it's not really, because all of that stuff has become just mainstream. You don't have to have a special indexing thing for blogs. They become part of it. And so when you really look at pinging an RSS feed and all this stuff, I think it would be helpful, Eve, to think about it in terms of frequency of publish. Okay, not to be mistaken for frequency of pinging, which Sue will cover in the One Feed to Rule Them All course, okay, because that's controversial. My main thing is just keep stuff moving. All those plugins and those other things were designed to make sure that your web, your auto blogs or your network of sites don't just turn into a graveyard of deadness where there's nothing ever being republished on them, like Refreshinator and all those other things. They just, every once in a while, they will republish your post. They'll just update and maybe add a relevant word from another thing. The problem with all those Refreshinator type blog plugins and the rest is that they randomly take posts across your blog that are not silo friendly, and so they tend to create what Sue calls micro themes. And the problem with that is that it creates a tangled web and disorderly theme ranking function out of your blog. Okay, so people have come to me after using Refreshinator and the rest, frequency of publish, and have just, it's turned into pretty much a tangled, mangled web of non-silo friendly optimization. So these are the things that you'll see coming now. And if you can think of your targeting of your silo landing pages, which is your product conversion and sales conversion, and what I consider to be beyond just frequency of publish, your inbound links and these types of things that you might use, what Sue was mentioning before, link emperor and so on and so forth, as a little bit different than the frequency of publish, then I think it might help you out a little bit. For example, the G++ and content curation course, it's not really about publishing. I don't want you to think about it as being primary backlinking. You're really thinking about it in terms of, this is why Sue, on this chart she's got in front of us, WRS1 and WRS2. When you think about these social backlinks, these are secondary backlinks, okay, from your network. And these networks are really more about frequency of publish. It's about social integration, and it's about a combination. Sue and I went over this yesterday when we were creating our done-for-you products with our team. You have to really distinguish between whether you're doing this for machines or you're doing it, for your social threading. In other words, are people on your Facebook page when you use RSS graffiti versus Twitter feed to publish directly to your Facebook fan page? Well, those are mostly human beings that are going to see those posts, right, that you've syndicated out through your secondary networks. And those human beings have more clout and more power in Google Analytics and from Google in our testing than just machine bookmarking using OnlyWire and the rest, right? So you have to, and we're going to cover this really clearly in the One Feed to Rule Them All course, but it's really important that you don't confuse high-quality backlinking from real people and real sites and high page rank sites from bookmarking, content curation, and the rest. Okay, that's my main thing. Yes. Most of the content curation stuff is kind of an anomaly. It's pretty weird. And the only thing that we were talking about in the content curation course is a way to get frequency of publish, frequency of signal, and social media traffic, especially using Scoop.it, back to your primary WR1 blogs from your WRS2 site to kick that traffic signal up, kick the social media signal up, and give your overall page rank a boost through both. So I think I beat that dead horse there. So okay, Sue, do you want to move on? You want to pick the next question?
Yeah. There's a great question from Ruben. He says, what about creating inbound links without anchor text at all? That's a little bit like trying to stay awake while drinking decaffeinated coffee. It's decaffeinated coffee has got a little bit of caffeine in there. It'll help you stay awake, and that's kind of the same in inbound link. If it doesn't have an anchor text, the theme will be derived by the content around it. That's what Google looks at. It looks at the text immediately surrounding. It also looks at the primary H tag on the page, and from that it will decide what the theme is and give you some inbound link juice based on the page rank. But it really kind of takes the guts out of the inbound link. Now, that being said, you can say the same thing about a no-follow. It's come to my attention recently that no-follows still pass, and it might be platform-specific, but at least under certain circumstances, no-follows still pass quite a bit of pizzazz. And I wouldn't avoid putting an inbound link someplace because it's got a no-follow. What I look for first, and I'm sorry, but this is just kind of a follow-on question, right? What I look for first is, will it drive traffic? Will people who are going to buy my products look at wherever it is that I'm posting
Right.
this link and click on it. And if they're going to do
hmm
that, I'm going to post my link there. I don't care whether it's a no follow. I don't care whether or not I can put my anchor text in there or whether it's just my www URL, right? It's if it's going to drive me traffic, if it's going to make me sales, I'm going to put my link there. So
Yep, and you guys, there's a really, on that note, with bouncing right off what Sue just said, there's a really weird anomaly. I could even show you an example. I don't have screen access, but if you look at a video that's embedded inside a Quora post, here's a perfect example. Sue and I have gone back and forth with this. Allegedly, neither YouTube nor Quora pass follows. They're no follow. Always recognizes its own, and always, and your YouTube channel can get PageRank, and so can an individual video. I've got one video that's a PageRank 6 on one of my networks. Okay, for a single video, not even the profile page. What you have to keep in mind is things are getting a little weird when it comes to just looking at things as follow, no follow, especially on secondary high PageRank social platforms. There's a new boys club that's been formed called the Social Network. So what is it, Sue? If you log into your Google Analytics file, you can see that Google is trying to get buddy-buddy with certain high PageRank social platforms. And my point here is an example is when you have a YouTube video embedded in a Quora, and Quora is officially part of YouTube's new social network association, where they give special attention to Quora as being an official social platform. So think about that. You've got YouTube, which is Google's own platform, embedded in Quora. Both of them drive traffic, especially if you use our Quora method, which drives, which has high volume, queries on certain questions and visits to certain questions. And your question has a video embedded in it. You've got two things going on. You got the video increasing in plays. You've got it embedded in one of Google's approved social media platforms called Quora. Okay, so both your video is going to get PageRank while Quora questions drive traffic to your site. Your site's going to get the response in your Google Analytics or whatever analytics tool you're using from having traffic from both Quora and from YouTube. And it gets really funky at that point. At that point, you can just forget about no follows, guys. It evaporates into thin air. Because what you have is you have qualified converting traffic with time on site, low bounce rates happening from thoughtfully answered questions with a video answer that very few other people have on Quora. And so you've got YouTube, okay, as PageRank and traffic. You've got Quora as PageRank. Several of my Quora questions have PageRank 2 and above. At a certain point, all of those pointing back to your site, whether they're follow or no follow, doesn't matter because the analytics have shown us that the traffic signal is affecting PageRank. And that's where it gets really weird. You can't worry or get all wrapped around the axle about no follow like you used to because the override, as Sue was just saying, is based on the PageRank of the approved social media platform in question. Questions, comments?
not for me. That sounds good.
Okay, excellent. Okay, Sue, should I, Eve, I'm not satisfied with the answer of Eve's question. She posted the question.
Okay.
She's saying, once it has achieved top rankings, how would you suggest a syndication and promotion? Do you cut the original promotion plan in half? Okay. Do you feel like we answered that completely by your answer?
Do I feel like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it depends.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry.
And Eve, we'd have to see your precise thing. Can I give you an example, Eve? If you have are you talking about a WR1 site for a major corporate client that has press releases every week? Are you talking about a small local storefront? In other words, there's no clear-cut answer for how you promote any particular business, but you do have to stay within the framework of the things that we've described. Every business.
The one thing that I would say is a business should have at least a minimal activity of a blog post a week if they're going to maintain an online presence. And so if you have a one feed set up on that blog, that's going to give you what I would consider your minimum stuff. Right? That's going to be if it's a small niche, it's a small little local business, then that'll give you enough inbound link and enough activity. And it's just like from there it scopes out, right? Like Michaels puts out a dozen blog posts a day about different stuff, and so that gets them their inbound links because it goes through their social media and syndication routines. So, I mean, in a perfect world, you don't actually have to work on inbound linking. And now I know it's not a perfect world, and I know especially in the beginning to get ranked, you got to work on your inbound links. But past a point, you should be able to, it should be self-generating. It should be that the promotions that you have for your business, depending on how big your business is and how active your business is, how many tweets are you doing a day, how many Facebook updates are you doing a day, and my belief is all of that stuff should actually stem from blog posts, because what's a tweet except for a micro blog post? And if it's worth tweeting about, isn't it worth a little paragraph on your blog and then automatically tweeting that? So
I mean, the thing is that what Eve continues to ask is, I want to make sure it's the traffic signal back to your, it's the traffic signal that is equally as, I mean, backlinking is very, very important. The problem is that so many of the backlinking systems that Sue is testing right now are under fire, and I have automatic things where I dump just automatically to our outsourcing or wherever, within our outsourcing team or different softwares like Link Emperor. When we publish an article, it automatically gets backlinks from it, and that requires us auditing whether or not the service is going to get us banned or whether it's going to hurt our blog and so on and so forth. But the social media penetration, which we're talking about with OneFeed, is getting traffic signals like I just described. An example, I'm getting my YouTube channel hit while I'm getting my Quora channel hit, while I'm getting traffic back to the site for that. That's in some ways more important because that stuff converts.
Yeah.
And so what I'm really trying to get here, Eve, is like, it depends. Is the content that you're creating for your client highly magnetic? Because if the content is worthwhile, backlinks get created on their own.
Right.
And let's not forget this. One of the things that we're trying to teach our agencies and students to remember is that create content that matters. And if it doesn't, if your content doesn't have a video in it, it automatically starts to unmatter. That's just where, that's the context in which content without video is becoming more and more irrelevant. By 2016, it will become so irrelevant as to be useless. So you've got to start hybridizing all these types of multimedia files together in single posts and making sure that you have a really unique point, a unique story that's being conveyed to your audience. And then what happens is magically, automagically, it begins to be, it gets all the automatic pinging you need, but also gets the social traffic that's fused through your WR1 and WR2 networks.
Now, I want to point out there are some markets out there that they don't do content well. I got one of those at the moment. I'm even going to mention the topic. It's dumpsters. There's only so many things that you can write about dumpsters, and I've written them all over the course of the last month, or at least I've had them all written. I mean, I'm so tired of reading about dumpsters, I can't even tell you what. And they don't drive traffic. Like, the website ranks, it drives traffic, it's great. But in terms of blog posts, like, what are you going to do with that, right? So you have to be inventive in some markets. So it's not about the dumpster, right? It's about, why do people need a dumpster? Why are people in pain that they pick up the phone and order a dumpster? Well, they're doing a kitchen renovation. They've got all of this stuff in their kitchen they can't cook anymore because, the place is a mess. So they order a dumpster. So you have to work backwards. And if you've gone through Russell's very ingenious ISDNA process, then you've got the pain points and you can figure that out, and it might not belong on the primary blog, right? You might have a whole other blog about home renovations, and with every blog post you have a little paragraph at the beginning or at the end that says something about, oh, remember, you're going to need a dumpster order here. So there are some markets where you just have to be really creative, but that's what it's about. And as far as I'm concerned, that's where it gets fun, right? Is trying to figure out.
I mean, you've got, and what Sue was saying, you really do have to define what drives dopamine in that market. If it's not novelty, which means unique and weird, crazy, stupid, viral cat videos, then maybe it's discounts, maybe it's Groupon. But the point is there's still content,
right?
Whether it's deal finding for dumpsters, or whether it's the latest work of art that I built out of dumpster diving junk. Okay, the point is that there's ways to find out if that's going to convert into real sales, and that's really what your clients care about.
Yeah.
And that's what Sue's saying, is there's no way for us to answer a general question. And that's great. It's a great question, Eve, and we'll continue to approach these types of things. And you really do have to take it on a client-by-client basis, because I hate doing the giant ISDNA matrix that I invented. I hate doing it. But I have to do it every time now, because when I'm done, almost invariably, what I thought I should do is different than what the numbers are telling me I should do.
Yeah.
And it's disturbing, but very useful.
Yeah.
Hey, Sue, website style architecture questions. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You got the whips and chains out?
I got it.
Okay. I have a question. This is John. I have a question about siloing. When you have a top global navigation menu, not done in the way Bruce Clay does it, well, maybe. Let's decide that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's actually not quite it. It depends. That is WordPress. Okay, he's saying he does WordPress siloing.
Okay.
And read by Google, doesn't it destroy the silo because of cross-linking?
If you have a menu that, do you have a site? Can you send me a link? Because I would love to just take a site apart on this call.
Yeah, you guys were supposed to bring your own websites. So where are they? I haven't got a single one. Everybody's nervous. They don't want it to be. I promise you, if you give us a website, we will not mention your last name.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a site I can use.
While you're doing that, let me go to Will Ponder's question real quick and schleff it out of the way.
Okay.
It is harmful to create silos on your website around FAQ and SAQs where your product is the answer but not part of the question. Great question, Will.
That's fascinating.
Very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah. The answer is yes and no and maybe. It depends on the market that you're in. So if you give me your market, I'll tell you yes or no, but I know you're not going to do that.
Well, we can approach this a little bit more systematically, maybe.
Yeah, it depends because it's not harmful to create a silo on your site around FAQs and SAQs. But the real question is the product. It's great to be problem and product centric within your silos, but you can break. I like to break products down. I like to break problems down into individual articles when there's multiple problems around a topic. Take for example health and fitness and weight loss. One of the problems is not being able to keep the weight off once you get it. Okay, but the problem is that there's 20 or 30 different articles that you can write on that to address it. So the answer is it can be both. And a lot of that depends on what it is you've discovered of the keywords in the market and a lot of the pains in that market. And if it's a frequently asked question, remember, frequently asked questions are more oriented towards getting yourself ranked on the search engine with content so that people who are typing, if those questions are frequently asked, then that means they're typing them in on the search engine. So you're mostly putting them there to get the traffic from those keywords, right?
Yep.
The should ask questions, folks, are stuff that really the inventor of your product, hopefully you, okay, had to answer in order to come up with the product. And that's really going to be more of your silo landing page, okay? The question that you should be asking is how you turn around what people are normally asking and try to come up with a better question. And that better question needs to become your brand story. That needs to become your invention, your ISDNA, your invention or industry solution. And it's really a question, your should ask questions are really something that's left for the inventors of the product or the patent or the concept, but you as marketers have to start becoming inventors. And that's really what I think is a lot of the ills of our current online marketing scenario is that people can find information anywhere they want. And this is why I'm into curation, you guys, because curators if they curate enough, they start becoming aware of what all the frequently asked questions are, and they start to be able to ask better questions. And those better questions then can float up the silo through buoyant PageRank, through silo PageRank. And generally speaking, if you've come up with a better way to contextualize a question or a problem, you're going to get viral traffic. Get it? Okay, cool. All right, Sue, go ahead.
So what I would do, this is actually a great question because you start out with your FAQs and your SAQs, and how do you get from an FAQ and SAQ to your blueprint, I think is really what your question is, right? How do you get from there to your silo structure? And what you want to do is look for a thematic grouping of concepts there. Sometimes your FAQ to SAQ, you can start with your FAQ at the top of an article, and by the time you get to the bottom of the article, you've introduced your SAQ. Right, you've told them how they should be thinking about the question that they were asking so that then when you present the solution, it's an obvious solution. They're better educated and they can see the brilliance in your solution. And oftentimes in a market, I'll have one silo for the problems and another silo for the solutions. So, I mean, not just a silo, but like an entire section of the site. So one entire section of the site is basically FAQs, where you're talking about the problems that people are having. And it, like Russ brought up this, the health and wellness industry, like oftentimes it can be a listing of ailments that people have, the thing that's actually causing the pain. And then in another completely different section of the site, I've got my products, because the products aren't necessarily thematically related to the problem, or possibly putting the product right there next to the problem doesn't sell very well, right? Oftentimes I want to take that part of my site where I'm addressing the pains and the questions, and I want to make that more informational based and trust building based. And then at the bottom, once I've got the trust, to say, you know, over here, this is the solution that I found to this problem. And then I'll link to the other silo. And so that, I'll even link directly to the product. I'll even break the silo linking rules and link all the way down to the bottom of my products. And you can get away with a little bit of that. It's not going to hurt your silo, especially when you're linking out from the very bottom areas of your site. And so that helps you keep a thematic relevance on both sides. It allows you to rank really well for your product names and your product keywords, as well as ranking really well for all of your FAQ, SAQ type keywords. So that's an approach I've done on more than one occasion. And then there are most occasions, I would say most often, it's all braided together. The problem and the solution are all in the same silo, and sometimes even on the same page. So it's just, and it depends. It's when I do market research, I look at where it is that I'm going to be pulling people in from, and if I'm pulling people in more from a social aspect, if the guys out there, they're in a lot of pain and they're doing a lot of searching and information, reputable information is hard to find, then I want an area where I can build some trust. It might even be a separate website or a separate subdomain, and where I can talk to them, have my subject matter expert talk to them in a way that's going to speak to their problems and show them how their stuff is going to solve them pain before we actually do product introduction. So those are just a couple of different thoughts about how you could approach the solution to that question.
Okay. Jonathan, back to your question. The website silo architecture looks like Will was happy with our answers there. And we've got plenty of information, Will. I want to address, since we're not really showing you guys a lot of diagrams and stuff as of yet, please go to networkempire.com/members-area if you are a non-member, and there is some free stuff in there. We clearly run this stuff down. The SAQ, FAQ 12 by 12 matrix is clearly one of the biggest challenges for our students at our private certification events. You're invited to come and learn how to do that. But once you get it, you're pretty much an unstoppable force. I've changed some of my perspective on siloing since 2007 in reaction to social media and content curation. Okay, but mostly it remains the same. And the trick is just making sure that you have your profit targets on the silo landing pages, or at least something that's an indirect profit target that's strong enough that even the indirect traffic's worth money to you, and you've tested that to determine that. To talk to Jonathan about the siloing thing, yeah, that's all there in what Sue's showing you now. We have IS, DNA, there's more stuff that we're adding there, pain killer versus so on and so forth. Okay. The main thing to understand is not to give too much of your stuff away for free. The biggest thing that I see people doing is not knowing when to hem and when to haw, when to keep it interesting but incomplete. And a lot of that is determined by whether you have a membership area or not, or whether you're selling tangibles. Okay, and we teach all that inside the certification course. The main thing about blogs, WordPress blogs, Jonathan, and website silo architecture is don't get us started. It's a bit on the tricky side in terms of how WordPress is designed inherently. This is why we created the blog plugin. Okay, and then the other challenge that you face, what we call the siloblogbuilder.com. Okay, and the Silo Blog Builder is designed to help you structure, to create a website silo structure a little bit more easily than you would have to do it manually. And believe me, we've done manual builds. It's really quite painful. We're currently upgrading that plugin to make it even more user-friendly. Okay, so the one thing I don't want you to do is be so afraid to create your blog that because you're afraid that you're going to silo it in properly. Sue has been incredibly helpful for me, even on blogs, when I don't have I'm using a theme that I can't put the Silo Blog Builder in, which is very few. She showed me how to set up various SEO plugins like Platinum SEO and a bunch of other ones in a way that is 3/4 of the way siloing properly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit on the messy side, but this is something I'm going to fully reveal in my PinVid course. And we're happy to talk about it now if you really want to, about the difference between the Silo Blog Builder plugin we offer, and it's not pretty when you try to silo by hand a blog. I mean, it takes hours longer. Sue, do you want to address that?
Yeah, so I'm just trying to back up because we had that one question, and I don't think he ever came back with a URL. So when you're talking about, sometimes you hit a site that when you cursor over this, it pops down the entire, all the links to all the pages on a site. And that absolutely, totally bleeds your thematic relevance. What it does, even worse, is it distributes your page rank completely evenly across the entire site. So this means that your silo landing pages, the silo structures are set up so that your silo landing pages get more page rank than the articles underneath them. It's just because this menu, the silo menu, is on every single page, which means all of the pages are passing page rank back up. But you have to actually go into a silo before you can see the articles in that silo. So these pages are only linked to by the other pages in that silo. And by doing that, I have a thingy that shows that really nicely somewhere here. By doing that way, let me just see if I can find it. It's not popping right up into my head. Okay, so the reason that we do it that way is so that your silo landing pages, which are the more competitive terms, end up with more page rank. Now, this site was a site, they had a menu like that. It was a pop down, and you could see all of the links everywhere. And that was one of the big changes that we made. Another change that we made is that there's a new site, right? So every single article here links off to the article offsite as well as down into a deeper page. But they've obfuscated this link so that the search engine doesn't see it. And so the only link that they actually see is down here on the summary page. And then on the summary page it links off, and the search engine see that. So that pushes the page rank. You can see they've got pretty good page rank on their Apple landing page. They've got probably better page rank on their home page. And so that page rank diminishes as you go down into the site, but then so does the competitive nature of the terms. So this just took the site from not having hardly any search traffic to having a huge amount of search traffic. And thank you. And that's the whole point behind the silo structure. Now, you can get away with it sometimes by, I'm aware that that's for user usability, particularly when you're on shopping cart sites, when you're on e-commerce sites where you've got a lot of products and you want your visitors to be able to see all of the categories and all of your different products. It's a really important thing, and I completely appreciate it. But you need to be able to take this menu and turn it into something like a flash something or some kind of a format where the search engines aren't going to read it and follow it. And then you have another category menu on the side that they do follow. So you're handing them in plain HTML an actual silo structure while you're handing your visitors another menu that's just for them, but that allows them to find their way around the site a whole lot better. So that's what I would recommend in terms of how to handle those massive menus and silo structures.
Okay, good. And as you guys can see, if you're not currently members, we have huge amounts of information on this. And we're pretty forthcoming on the help desk as long as we're not asked to build a business for you through the help desk. That kind of happens sometimes too. And obviously we can't do that. And also there are times like that site you just saw, the RSS site, we have clients that we take on, like Apple Investor News and these types of things. And the traffic went hundreds of % through the roof after we got our hands on it. And to give you an idea how crazy things are, and again, this is a private call, and that site is 100% automated. It's from a longtime friend of mine. There's not a single, can I say that, Sue?
Yeah.
Okay. I just think it's important for you guys to know because there's a lot of BS out there on the Warriors Forum and everything else. And that site doesn't have any content writers, Eve. It's like 100%. But can you go back to that site?
Sure.
I know we don't want to get too into it. I should probably be careful. But
yeah.
All right. I just want to say that if you guys think that creating content and spending huge amounts of money to create content is required in order to have a site apply website silo architecture, that is not correct. Okay, this is a great WR2 site. Now this, I know it's more than that for this owner, Sue, but again, for the primary sites that are marketing on it, and it's driving traffic to them. So I still consider this like a WR2 from a primary money site.
Right.
But the reason that it works is, again, the entire site is contextually oriented around a theme cluster. And as soon as Sue got in there and made sure that the broken silos were properly formatted in this thing, there was a small dip in traffic, and then all of a sudden, fireworks.
Yeah.
There
wasn't even a small dip. It was a mountain of traffic.
Oh, well, excuse me.
It surprised me. That's why I say that.
Okay. I thought, okay, never mind. So wasn't there okay, there was not even a small dip. The point is that it just gets a tsunami of traffic. I mean, and so these are the things, this is what I call an RSS curated site. So we get into that into the other courses. Let's go, Wilhelm, it's so good to see you on the call. Wilhelm is really quite the expert. We've trained a lot and learned a lot from him. He's asking a question, Sue.
Okay.
Can I give that to you? He's building an HTML silo site, not WordPress, and the silo plugin. Okay. What other silo builders are there that will work the DWS blueprint XML export?
At the moment, none. I have. I don't even know if I have an HTML one on the list. It's easier to do with CMSs than it is with HTML. At the moment, I have a little bit of a problem with the actual XML, so I'm having to get the silo plugin fixed before I can move forward with any of, creating any of the other interfaces. And I'm hoping that silo plugin is going to be fixed within the next week. And then we're looking at Joomla interfaces and Magento and possibly Drupal. But if you've got some kind of, if you're working with something in HTML, let us know. And why would you want an HTML site? There are so many reasons to want an HTML site. Up until very recently, I was only an HTML girl. I despised CMSs. And the reason that I'm not fond of a CMS is because they're hackable. HTML sites are a lot harder to hack. They just don't pose the same issues. They don't have the same vulnerabilities. When you've got a really popular CMS like Joomla and WordPress, hackers go after it because somebody finds an exploit and a vulnerability. They tell other hackers, and they build tools around it that do auto hacking, and people just go to town. HTML is typically, each one's individual, so you're not going to find, there are some exceptions. There are some HTML builders out there, but they're not nearly as popular. And even the ones that are out there, they tend to use different PHP libraries. PHP is generally the place where you find the exploits. And so they're just plain more stable and more durable. So if I were going to build a money site, up until very recently, all of my money sites were HTML. And the only reason that I've gone to blogs is simply because of the speed, especially since we've got Domain Web Studio and the Silo Builder interface. The speed with which I can get a site up at this juncture makes the HTML a little bit less appealing. So, and
And
plus
that,
we've developed, because we've had issues with our blogs, we've developed some pretty serious security
yeah,
themes.
yeah, and that's something that segues into Stephen's formal question, 5 or 7 questions back. As a novice, and because WP security is a concern, do you recommend we try to implement Matt's security protocol or use hosted WP hosting sites like page.ly and WP Engine? I'm going to let you answer that first, and I'll just back you up on it.
Um, you know, WordPress has got this site, or got this page, and I referenced this inside of our Silo blog builder page. If I had known about this a long time ago, the way that I handled my blogs would have been very, very different. Now, some of the stuff that they talk about in here is pretty hardcore, and I've taken it to such an extent that I have to log in and unlock my blogs before my team can actually work on them. But I haven't had a blog hacked since then, and up until
You
that
also
point,
haven't had any plugins installed.
yeah, that's the other thing. I'm really picky about the plugins. The plugins have to not be garbage, because programmers who are inexperienced write plugins with holes. So
Right.
so I test all the plugins myself. I actually, to whatever extent I can, I roll back the code, roll back the cover on the code, and take a look at what's going on underneath and see how well they're writing this stuff. I know that's a little bit extreme, but we do recommend. I do have our list of recommended plugins inside the members area that you guys can take a look at. And
Yeah, and you guys, let's talk about hosting a little bit. Sue is super advanced and taught me a lot about super advanced stuff, and I'm super basic. There are solutions, Stephen, like you're talking about. The current thing that Sue and I both agree on, I'm going to be real careful. When Sue and I don't agree on something, it's just because we haven't tested it and there's nothing to really say, or I'm testing something and she hasn't signed off on it. We both believe that managed WP,
yeah, it's great.
or it's WP Manager, I think. Let me just double check. Because they follow the hardening WordPress codification, which Sue just revealed to you, if you're a beginner, okay, and you have never been hacked, and you don't understand everything Sue just said about how to lock things down at the top level, then you're going to want to use managed WP. It's the only thing that we're mutually agreeing on at this time. I use this is very controversial. I'm just going to say it. Most of you on this call who are advanced hate one-on-one hosting as equally as Sue does. Okay, and the reason I use it is because I'm not super advanced, and they don't use cPanel, and the reason I use it for my WR2 blogs is because they don't use cPanel, because I can't tweak cPanel like Sue does, and I have my outsourcing team building hundreds of video blog sites, and I don't have time to lock them down. And in their accounts, they make sure, because they're dealing with so many newbies, that they don't really give you any godlike access on the basic accounts. You have to pay a lot of money to get advanced access, and then I just know that I'm not generally going to get hacked if I keep basic WordPress securities on one-on-one while my outsourced team is working on them. Sue would never really go for that because she's going to have total control all the time over everything on the server. Okay, so these are what we do agree on is a peaceful middle ground, and WP Manage seems to be the thing that we found that does that. WP Manage is a third-party service, or did I say Manage WP? Is a third-party service that also uses the hardening WordPress system, and you can manage multiple blogs in this service. I have an account that holds up to 150 blogs right now, and what you can do is you do have to install a particular kind of plugin, and then it allows you. You can even you can even use the security service, which makes sure that you are notified immediately if your blog is ever hacked or there's some kind of security violation or some kind of security thing across multiple blogs. So if you really want to hold an empire together and you're not a big hosting person or a big server person, okay, that is, you don't have your own server, and you don't understand how to prevent hacking from all of that, you could use manage WP to manage multiple blogs and also be fairly secure within that, okay?
Yeah. Somebody asked for the link for all the blog plugins.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's in the membership area.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see which page it's
Kevin,
on. Go ahead, find another
okay,
question.
Kevin, I agree. Kevin, I agree. Fantastico is something that I just do not use unless it's for if it's something if it's in an empire where the IT person like the major administrator like Sue or somebody else has got everything plugged up, then that's another story. But my biggest fear is because we have so many people. We have beginners, intermediate, and super advanced, all people on this call. We have people that are making $1 million plus per year or greater on this call, and people don't even make $39 a month. That's just kind of the weird time that we live in. And I guess I have a hard time with Fantastico because everybody is touting it as a quick install. I will never use it. I will never use it to mass install blogs unless I have serious help from my team to make sure that all the exploits are not covered. Okay.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, I don't use Fantastico. I tend to use cPanel. cPanel will also set your blog up pretty darn fast, but
Well, they have Fantastico that loads it in
right.
cPanel, but you don't even need Fantastico.
You know, it's not. I know that's a push button, whereas otherwise it's like a 3-minute process to copy. But I'll take the 3-minute process to copy and avoid the exploits with the Fantastico.
I don't even personally use cPanel, so I just pass that off to all of Sue's team that uses cPanel. I'll never use it because I've just been so exploited so many times. But I'm not an expert on this topic, so I just stand back and use my novice stuff like manage WP, where I don't even have to deal with it. I got my cPanel hacked twice, so it's just inexperience, and you learn this stuff as you go. And back to our original question, Sue's point should come out for all of you, is that why does she prefer HTML Jim over, well, it's a tech choice, and the choice is there's a return and there's a risk that you take for ease of publishing. Marketers like CMS systems. We just do. We like to get the stuff up quickly and publish it and not have to worry. And CMS applications, for people who don't know a single line of code, they're just going to be what works for marketers. But as soon as I recommend that everybody begin to slowly learn HTML so that you can just do your basic stuff, because even in CMS you need HTML.
Yeah.
What are the WP plugins that you? Oh, I'm sorry.
Is there a WP plugin that I recommend that scans themes and plugins from malicious codes and scripts? Not that I know of. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I'm just not aware of it.
Well, we need to be aware because Matt's recommending one, and I don't think you or I have necessarily validated it.
Oh, does it do that?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I have used that plugin.
Main thing, hey, I am big guy. If you have a problem, I had an amazing experience with several blogs being, aside from Sue having to go through by hand, which is something that I never want her to ever have to do again, to decode, to debug those types of things. Security did a pretty good job, security.net.
Oh, yeah.
Did a pretty good job of going through and finding every piece of malicious code and alerting it. Now, it was expensive.
Okay. Yeah, that's if you already have if you've been hacked, these guys will unhack you.
Correct. But it's not. No, that's not all. So it also, once you get managed WP and you turn your security account on WManagedP, it constantly keeps it up to date.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that is.
So security.
Yeah.
Right. So security.net integrates with managed WP. That's why I'm showing you guys those things, because I feel for a marketer and a non-coder, somebody who doesn't have Sue's skills, which is kind of more like me, security, managed WP, if you're thinking big, those are the two things you're going to integrate, because you'll be constantly, let's say you have 100 sites and they're all loaded into managed WP. You can have security for your $89 to $300 a year fee, constantly checking all of them for mal code, for bad code, and it'll alert you as soon as it's up.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Okay. All right, guys, cool. So that's huge. Don't forget that. It took me a long time to find a system that Sue signed off on that are, something other than her having to check them all by hand when something happens.
Yeah.
or defending our server with her life and not getting anything else done.
All right, next question.
I think we're probably going to get ready to wrap up here.
Okay.
Let's see what we've got going on here. I missed somebody important. Let me go back through the archives here.
Okay.
There was a really important question.
Oh, Ruben asks.
Ruben, yeah. What if I syndicate my Google Plus to a blog and from there syndicate the RSS to the world? That is the g-++.com and software in its entirety.
Yeah.
You just described precisely that course. So Ruben, go to g-++.com, drop in your email. If you're a current Network Empire member, you already have access to the free 30-day trial for the G+ software. It's very inexpensive, $9 or something for an individual RSS feed, and unlimited is like $47. I automate my Google Plus from my blog to my Google Plus account with open graph images and or videos hanging off of them, and then I resyndicate the feed that I've generated out from that to all the directories, and it's great. It works.
He asked another question. He says he's been listening to our courses for months and he doesn't see the word mobile anywhere. How not important is it? I think mobile is incredibly important. A responsive design on your blog is huge. It's more important for some markets than it is for another at the moment. It was really interesting. I just did an analysis on a website, and I looked at, you can do all of this through Google Analytics, and maybe I can put together some kind of a blog post or something that shows that for members. You can see in Google Analytics how many people come to your site that are using a mobile device, and then if you've got your funnel set up, you can see how many people using a mobile device actually purchase. And let's say that 50% of the people, or let's say a third of the people who come to your site are on a mobile device, but there's only a tenth of the people who on a mobile device are actually purchasing something. That would raise a flag to me. You've got a significantly higher percentage of the people hitting your site than you do actually purchasing off your site. This means one of two different things, and it's an important thing. It could mean that people don't buy your products on a mobile device. They're looking, but they're not interested in buying. Or it could mean that your site isn't set up properly to facilitate buying on a mobile device. Now, if it's a luxury item or something that somebody's going to take time to think about, a high-priced item, then maybe they just don't buy it on a mobile device. Maybe they want, maybe they're just like browsing on their phone and they hit your site, blah, 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 bookmark it, maybe later come back when they're on their larger computer. But I would say chances are good somewhere along the line they find it difficult to either do product selection or to actually run through your checkout. And if you haven't run through your checking out, actually purchasing your products on your mobile phone, you need to do that. You need to see how, because sometimes your site will be responsive just fine, but as you get into your checkout mode, it becomes really hard and you got to scroll and people become frustrated and they're just like, I'll go buy it somewhere else, right? So walk all the way through that purchase process to find out where the hang-ups might be. And I have to say, just walking through the purchase process, that's one of the things in my list of 204 things that I do. You'd be surprised the number of times that carts are abandoned in the middle of the purchase scenario just because it's either too many screens, they have to fill out too many pieces of information, the purchase process isn't fast and seamless. And if you provide friction from the time they've decided on something, they've stuck in their cart, they hit the buy button, they're actually going to the checkout. If you provide too much friction within that checkout process, you're losing a lot of money. So just a word of the wise, and that's kind of my whole take. I mean, there's not too much to actually say when it comes to mobile other than that, other than it needs to be user-friendly on a mobile device. That's a lot more Theme related, it's a lot more, and it depends on your merchant, who it is that you're actually working with to do your checkout. It's not really the kind of stuff that we're involved usually a little bit more, a couple steps before that, and not so much in the actual theme itself. So.
And just remember, because if the theme says that it's responsive, like Themify or some of the local themes, you can always untoggle them to be, not
responsive.
Not responsive. And there's a really amazing article by the Managed WP guys about, which I've talked to you, Sue, about whether or not responsive really matters, and it really depends. And I think we're going to see a huge amount as we move into HTML5, a huge increase of quality on mobile devices, and the ability to functionally work around with mobile devices. I mean, Udemy.com is just, they're all excited because they finally got that gigantic interface system to be mobile friendly.
Excellent.
And all these things. So keep your eyes out for the next couple of years. But I'm enjoying the responsive themes that I'm using. And on the older iPhones, sometimes it's weird too, because on some devices I'll have problems with something because I have an older iPhone. My daughter's got a newer iPhone than I do, and it looked fine. I'm just sitting here going, okay, what is this really saying? It means I got to go out and get new devices, right?
Yeah.
So it's something to, just consider that there's limits also within the firmware and the hardware, rather, that you're using. So anyway.
And just because a theme says it's responsive doesn't mean that it responds very well. I can't tell you. I had a local client, and we went through like 10 themes before we found one that really responded well on a mobile device.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, I would check multiple devices just like you check multiple browsers. I've discovered that recently.
Yeah.
Okay. Ruben's saying after all that, he's saying that wasn't even his question.
Oh, sorry.
He's talking about SEO for mobile devices.
Oh. Here's the thing. When you get onto a mobile device, not too many people actually use Google search. There's 1,002 different ways to get to wherever it is that you want to go, and most of them are other ways. I'm actually wanting to spend some quality time with some of the mobile AdWords ads, but I don't know if I can say that. Actually, I don't know that that's true anymore, because I'm just thinking back to the last time I looked at Google Analytics, and there were a fair number of mobile devices coming in off of natural search, so that might be shifting. But I know for a long time, most of my mobile traffic was not coming in off of search. So, the other thing that I would say recently, Google's made a huge shift, both with mobile and local, to have basically one set. So in other words, it's not like these things you're going to SEO one way, and these things you're going to SEO another way, and these things you're going to SEO a different way. And gosh, I could talk for a really long time about this. The thing that I see, the huge shift that I see, is a lot of terms that they have classified as more of a local term. Like if you're shopping for something where it's going to be physically distributed, if you're searching for something that's going to be physically distributed, they tend to show you stuff that's local. You might have one or two national results in the front page maybe. And so I see everything kind of coming down to certain common denominators, and those are the evergreen principles that we've taught from the very beginning, and we still teach. The one thing that's changed in the last couple of years would be the micro-formatting. If you're actually wanting to target in local, then I would make sure that you've got your micro-formatting set up and make sure you don't spam it. They've started to track micro-formatting spamming. So, and I guess micro-formatting would be the thing that you would really look at if you want to make sure that you're found on a phone. If you're looking at that whole ultra-local concept, then you definitely want to make sure you've got your micro-formatting set up on your site. I'd set it up for your address. I'd set it up for your phone number. I'd set it up for your hours. If you've got some kind of reviews, then I'd set it up for that. Everything that you can micro-format, I would do that, because then that helps those items actually pop in the SERPs. And
I'm rather disappointed that more of you. I'm rather disappointed that more of you did not bring any URLs to share in the
yeah, I
live
would have reviewed a
event.
site, man.
You probably would have gotten $1,000 worth of consulting on
At least a
this.
couple
And if you
hundred.
can get past your embarrassment, yeah,
I'll be gentle.
I would recommend that you at least, yeah,
Okay,
go
more.
ahead and put yourself down, Sue. Put yourself right down in the $200 range. Yeah. Um, you're no way. Um, okay, here we go.
Auto
Alex
insurance.
has actually dropped. Let's get him. Good job, Alex. It's a good thing I can't pronounce your last name. That way I won't expose you at all.
InsuranceBZ.com.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, let's see what he's got going on here. This is really what I wanted you guys to. Oh, now everybody's dropping names
Of
and links. And,
course.
hi, Brendan. Excellent. Maybe we'll have time if we really sweet talk her into doing this one. Yours as well. Okay, this looks like a directory, obviously.
Ah, this is a split personality directory. So there's one set of links by state, and there's another set of links
Right, each state is a
by,
silo.
yeah, there's another set of links by different kinds of criteria, right? And so
Yeah.
just as I look at this, like I'm going to cursor over this, and you can see down here in the bottom left, it pops up what my URL string is going to be, right? So I'm
Right.
here. I would expect this to probably be like a silo, but it's not a silo landing page. Just like the first thing I look at is silos, right? So it's not actually a silo landing page. As you can see, it goes insurance/discount, auto insurance/safe driver discount. Now, on a product site, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's lots of product sites. I mean, pretty much if you've got a product site, you've got to put some of your products on the front page. Like that's just good user interface. So I don't have a problem with, but that's a lot of links. Let me just make sure all of these are going deep. Yeah, all of these are going deep. That's a lot of links to go that deep. So what I would want to take a look at in your analytics is to see what's actually getting clicked on here and see if you can
Right.
reduce the number of links that you've got in each one of these. If you can't, you can't. But if some of these aren't used and you can get rid of maybe half of them, I would do that. Find out more. Let's see
Okay.
where that goes. Okay, so find out more. This goes to discount auto insurance. This is this link right here. This goes to another. This goes to another site of landing page. High risk insurance, which is high risk drivers. Okay, discounts.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I can see. I can see the thought there. It would be great if you had keywords in those links. You would just pass infinite more amount of clout to your silo landing pages. So even if you said like, oh, you do have a popover text. So
Yeah, he has them.
okay,
He's got masked anchor text.
yeah. So that's better than no. That's 1,000 times better than just click. So that's okay. So then as I click in here, I've got high risk insurance. Okay, and
Everybody's
all of
talking
these.
about.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. I'll address that later. The click here meme.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't get me started.
Yeah, I won't get you started.
So this is high-risk insurance, and you can see down in the right-hand corner as I cursor over these, all of these are articles. Yep, that's good. That's perfect. And I'm going to assume that the rest of your site is that way. Now, if I go back, I'm just looking at this menu up along the top. Yeah, okay, that's on every single page. Auto insurance rates, and it's got life stages and rates.
That must be
Okay.
something we don't know about.
All right, so I
Oh,
think what
yeah,
he's
okay,
trying,
gotcha.
yeah, what he's trying to do is like have a couple of different auto insurance rates. Do you also have that here? No. So that's another silo. That's fascinating. Okay, so you've got a little bit of a discrepancy there, and that your keyword here is life strategies and rates, but once you actually get to the page, it's auto insurance rates. If the keywords you're actually trying to go after, yeah.
He's wanting to know if breadcrumbs pass SEO value.
Oh, like this.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
that's probably what he was thinking there.
yeah, absolutely. So like if we come down here to divorced, and this is going to be, then yes, that's going to pass. Um,
Yeah.
that's going to pass it back up. So that's your buoyant page rank going back up. That's great. But it's just fascinating to me. On all of these, you've got life strategies and life stages and rates, and yet the page itself is auto insurance rates. I would rethink that a little bit. Like if one is a synonym for the other and you're trying to rank for both, that's great. I just have to wonder what the queries, what the search volume actually is on life stages and rates. And if you're doing that just to make it more user-friendly, then maybe there's a way of expressing that that's got more searches.
Or the other way around. He didn't do it to do user-friendly. He recognized that it was a keyword that he wanted to synonymize.
Right. So
He says the reason he named them differently, if I name each silo with targeted keywords, the page will become spam. I'm trying to think
no,
about if what he just said is true. I don't
no,
think that's true.
no, it's not true. Um,
I
and
don't know why do you think that, Alex? Where did you get that from us, or just curious where you got that info?
yeah, because that's what I do with my silos all the time. I know you're in a auto insurance is not an easy. Let me just come back here and take a look. It's not an easy.
I'm not even sure exactly what he means.
So there was a thing, and I think I even mentioned it on one of my audios not too long ago, where the last Panda update that happened in September or October, about a month ago, where they did exact match domains. They started targeting exact match domains. So if the name of your domain was a keyword, and if you target that keyword too heavily on your site, there's the possibility for penalization.
Yeah, like
And
auto insurance this, auto insurance that, without any pure diverse synonyms.
right. So,
So
one of our members who had a lot of exact match domains came back and said that if he had some kind of diversity in there where they weren't exactly the same, they're synonyms. They can even be close synonyms, but just so long as it wasn't the exact same money keyword, he wasn't. It looked like that was keeping him from being pinged, from being demoted in the rankings. But I've seen a lot of exact match domains where they run their keyword all the way through their site and they didn't lose any rankings. And I have to think that other aspects were in effect there. So, and particularly where, let me just look at that. So you've got auto insurance, right? So you've got auto insurance in your domain name, and you've got auto insurance in the URL string, and so you're looking at not putting auto insurance right there in the link because you don't want to have auto insurance, auto insurance, auto insurance, which I can appreciate, but I would just shift it around a little bit. I'd make it a lot closer than life strategies and rates. I mean, you're not even bringing any kind of an insurance concept or auto concept into that at all.
He's hedging too much. It's not even a pure diverse synonym.
Right.
I mean, if it were pure diverse, Alex, do you understand what we mean when we say pure diverse, partial diverse when it comes to synonyms?
Actually, I just explained. Okay, he does. So.
Okay.
So yeah, where you're looking for, I mean, life strategies and rates, you're attempting for a pure diverse there, but I don't think it communicates the same kind of an idea. I don't actually think that they're synonymic enough. And
Why? What did she say? Yeah, life stages. That's what she said.
oh, I know I've said the wrong word a couple of times. Too much coffee.
Oh.
Sorry.
I would have to really get into site and figure out why he showed. There's probably something he found. It's an industry terminology. I know that's how they segment insurance rates. So.
Right. Whether you're teen or an old lady.
I personally feel that you're excessively paranoid about it because you have great content, Alex. If you had no content on this page or this was RSS feed, I could see you being kind of worried a little bit more, but I just don't see it being a problem, as much of a problem, especially if the directory has content for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't get that paranoid about it.
But
So
it looks, but so, uh-huh.
that's one comment. So let me just look at the page source really fast. Where did
But
that?
it's looking good overall. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not terrible at all, like
No,
the way
not
you're
at all.
organizing the site.
So we've got meta keywords. We've got a canonical URL. That's great. Um,
Yeah, I had a feeling he's saying that he chose that word. He was more for the marketing perspective.
right.
In other words, thinking about what stage of life they're in. Make sure they're clear. To me, as a marketer, I feel like it's a good category to have.
Yeah. This is great. He's got a description. How different life stages affect your car insurance rates and needs. The rates of teenage drivers and married driver will vary. Find out more. So when that shows up in SERPs, you've got the find out more. You've got the invitation for them to click right there. And we have a title in here, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's there. Life stages and rates.
Okay. Yep, that's great. That's absolutely perfect.
Alex, is the site converting for you? We've just done the technical analysis, but we haven't done a marketing analysis. Are you actually converting sales on the site? Because then you got to look at your banners and your congruency. Okay, cool.
What's he say? It's converting?
Okay. Yeah, it's doing okay, he says. So
Okay. You've
that
got
means
no
his banners,
follow.
call to actions to congruent.
You've got a no follow here.
Oh, what's the?
Oh, because it's going off-site. That's fine.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's the only no
For what
follow
it's
you've
worth.
got? Okay, good. Well, if that's like for an ad or something, it should be a no follow. So he doesn't get penalized for selling links and that kind of stuff. Just look at the home page.
So he's commenting that he's using no follow for all inbound links. Do you recommend that? I mean, sorry, all outbound links. I think that's a little
That's
overkill.
okay. You
I
can.
wouldn't. All right.
It doesn't.
A couple years ago, we would have said something different.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's because a couple of years ago they've changed what they did with no follows in the last couple of years. You don't have to use it for all outbound links. If you're actually citing somebody, you can leave it a do follow because it's a citation. But
That's what yeah.
yeah, if it's actually an ad, then
Yeah, Alex,
or some kind of affiliate product, then you want to follow it.
And Alex, just there is an unspoken thing in the SEO industry, just in general, probably not necessarily on a directory like yours, but at least in the SEO field for years, it's been like if someone's no following you and they're citing you, it's kind of slightly, off etiquette, because there's no problem in giving link juice back to somebody who's providing real value and content value, and especially if it's congruent with your theme or topic, it's not going to hurt you. If anything, it's going to help the thematic off-site clustering aspects of it. So you don't need to worry about no following every little, every little quote or term or news feed or anything like that.
So this is good. You got the call to action just right up there at the top. It's big and it's colorful next compared to the rest of the page. There's a fair amount of white space. Stuff isn't too clustered. I don't feel claustrophobic.
And Alex is saying that Wikipedia doesn't rank. Well, yeah, exactly. But also that has to do with the software they're using. It's fairly well clustered and exactly.
It's excellently theme clustered.
Like our themezoomglossary.com is a Wikimedia platform, same as Wikipedia, and it just ranks through the roof for everything. I mean, I can't not rank. Like if you paid me to try to not rank for a word that I make a post on, I would lose. So it's just really kind of terrible that they don't have easier ways to create monetization and stuff. But part of the reason is that people don't expect monetization on those sites, so we've had to add little feed things and the rest. So again, I would seriously, everybody on this call, look into wikis for supporting sites and learn how to set those up, for clients as a possible, backlinking tool within your own network or vibe.
I have a question. You've got this guide here, so I'm looking for your guide. I'm expecting it to be something that I'm going to be able to download, and I don't see a way, like how to download it does not pop out at me. I'm sure it's here, but it's not like screaming at me like enter your email address or give me your phone number or whatever piece of information you want so that you can either sell that lead or follow up with that lead. I'm not finding that there.
He's asking what the main advice would be to boost rankings. We really couldn't answer that question without looking at your analytics files, but Sue might have something she can shoot from the hip. I don't know. I really wouldn't without seeing more of what his
Boosting
rankings
your
actually are.
rankings. What's the keyword that you're having problems with? I mean, if you're telling me you're going for auto insurance, I'll just shoot you.
Hey, think big.
Yeah, well, I mean, just because I...
He actually is.
So you
All
know
right.
you're in for the long haul, right? Like that's like a 2-year term to rank for. You've been jumping from 60 to 200. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
that's not
excellent.
terrible. It's
That's
not terrible.
excellent.
And what backlinking services are you using? If you're jumping from position 60 to 200, let me just see, find you where you are now. What backlink services are you using, if any?
So you're jumping down, not up, aren't you?
I don't understand. What what
Infographics.
what backlinking services? And I'm not going to
He's
repeat it
just
on the call.
it sounds like he's just using infographics.
Okay, cool.
Um,
Enough said. We can talk about it later. Oh, it's manual.
Manually
Okay.
reaching out to people.
Okay.
Um,
So you're driving traffic signal from other offline sources or just through phone call and directory collection type stuff? Ah, okay. So you're getting email traffic, and that should show up in your weblog files, and that's definitely going to give you some kick. All right, cool.
yeah.
Let's find somebody with a really ugly site. We don't want to start. We don't want to start. No,
All right.
no,
So
you're doing good, Alex.
yeah, you're doing fine. What can you do to boost rankings? Okay, so let me just tell you right off. I don't think I've seen a video on this site.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Right? I would get some engagement going, and I would get some interaction between you and YouTube.
Yeah.
Because as Russ revealed earlier in the call, that will
Don't
drive
get me
page
started on
rank.
that one. Yeah.
And think about this: like if when you're in the SERPs and somebody hits your page and they bounce right back to the SERPs, Google knows that. And let me just take a look for one other thing before I go on too much further in that.
I would just borrow any videos that were not branded. No, I can't say that. Never mind. I mean, I would install a Yoast video XML plugin, and then I would insert the video on the top silo landing pages, and then Alex install Yoast Video SEO. I mean, video SEO, I'm just crushing it with. I'm just laughing, falling on the floor laughing. I mean, it's the biggest kept secret this year, I think, and it's even recommended by somebody who I respect very few people in the SEO industry, but there's somebody else who I studied with early on who's using it. Yeah, take those insurance targeted videos, all right? Put them first on the silo landing page and make sure that they're positioning and driving people to take action on that silo landing page. And then install a plugin. Is this a blog? Yeah. No.
No.
What'd you build this in? Let me see the source code. Yeah, it's WordPress. This is a blog.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
And then you can go to the Local Leads Empire course, or actually I'll upload this into our regular users area. If you go into the hot or not or back in the box section, there's a plugin that I'm using on all my video Pinterest Empire websites that is getting my video thumb indexed on the regular Google search engine in 24 hours or less. And it's driving, and the YouTube video that's on the same channel that's mine is underneath that. So it will be like autoinsuranceeasy.com, and it'll have the video thumb right on the left. It's called, let me just drop the link for everybody. Actually, guys should go into the members area. I don't know you who just asked that. Just kidding. The plugin is by Yoast, okay, and it's called SEO. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. I'm just messing around with it.
Okay, while you're looking for that, I just want to point out something, Alex. You've got a PageRank 2 on this site, and you're competing against a PageRank 6. So you've got a long, hard row to hoe there. You're going to need some serious backlink juice. And I'm not, yeah, it's just you're really going to have to have a couple of good inbound links from a couple of good PageRank pages if you're going to want to do that with any speed. And you're going to want to be clandestine about acquiring those so that you don't get slammed for them.
Yeah, your social media stuff leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, you're going to way down at the bottom, and I don't expect them to. Auto insurance is not super social.
No, it's not.
That's okay up there, but there's other ways that you can get a little bit of traffic boosting and signal automatically every time you publish something, and it'll probably help you a little bit. You know, get your Twitter feed attached to Twyla, you know, so that you get some extra backlinks of your Twitter accounts and just stuff you'll learn from the various courses we have.
So why are your rankings bouncing so much? I'd have to look at your Google Analytics to know that for sure.
Yeah,
There's so many variables, and my guess is you've got something going on where you're getting PageRank juice for a period of time. For example, bookmarks at the moment. Bookmarks have been seriously devalued, but what value there is expires after like 30 or 60 days. So
what SEO plugin is he using?
You do press releases. Press releases, yeah, press releases are going to... So let me talk about press releases for a minute. Press releases are incredible in that if you have something that's really and truly newsworthy, you will get out there, you'll get put in a myriad of places. Your press release will get picked up and distributed to a myriad of places, and you'll get some decent inbound links for a long time. If your press release is not newsworthy, then it goes out amongst all of the feeds and through all of the press journals and everything the way stuff is normally distributed. But within a week, everybody's dropped you because it's not really something that's valuable and interesting for the long term. So you don't get picked up and put on websites and kept long term. It's just, it's news. It's flash and pan, here today, gone tomorrow. So yes, you need more solid permanent links. Absolutely. That's the entire thing.
What are you doing with your feeds, Alex? Are you? I should probably just unmute him at this point. Are you properly submitting? Are you properly submitting your feeds and making sure that everything?
Oh, that's a good point. Let's go
ahead and look at his setup here. There's a whole dimension to this site that's missing that would give you massive boosts, and it would stabilize stuff, and I've already started in on it with video. I'm really experienced with RSS feed and video, and we're talking an order of magnitude of higher ranking. I was checking my sites this morning, and I've got video thumb listings that are outranking video YouTube videos on my same channels on my network, and all of that has to do with RSS. Okay, so good. So one of the things you're going to want to do, Alex, is you know, soapbox pitch. You know, be sure to sign up for the One Feed course coming up. It's very affordable. We'll walk you through the proper submission process for the site on the One Feed, and probably get your Google Plus, you know, happening too. You have a persona set up for this site, Alex? Okay, you do Feed Mash, Feed Fury. Okay, Feed Burner. So we can look at what you're doing.
So let me show you something else. Your site, you've got 754 pages on your site, and I'm pretty confident about that since you've got the canonical URL that that's how many pages you've really got. However, your competitor, your top competitor, has got 3,000 pages, and that was something that Ruben just made mention of. Is the site too small? And you're definitely not on the same scale of an authority site as your top competitor. So I think that that's going to be part of the other thing. You can get there with 754 pages, but it's a lot longer, harder haul. They've got an easier time just because the number of pages that they have on their site, the fact that they're all talking about some form of insurance or another, is going to increase that thematic relevance and actually increase the page rank on the site itself. Probably if you took away all of their inbound links, they'd still be a page rank 4 just because of the number of pages on their site, right? At least a page rank 3. And so simply adding more content, simply adding more stuff. And I know you've been pretty inventive. I saw there was that one page I was at which had a whole bunch of links. This here where you can compare companies, and you basically got a page on each company, and that's great. But I'd take a look at some of your top competitors and see what they're talking about.
Okay, Alex, you submitted your sitemap for both video and content. So see, these are things that you go through. We'll give you a checklist that you can make sure to complete.
Yeah, that's this checklist here, but
yeah.
This checklist is actually more for technical and conversions rather than actually trying to compete. Like what do you check for to see how you're going to do to compete with your competitors? That's another interesting footprint competitor checklist. Because that's something that I just kind of, as I sit there and go through all of Google Analytics and all of Google Webmaster Tools. That's the other thing. I noticed you don't have Google Analytics on your site. If you don't have Webmaster Tools, I would get in there and take a look at Webmaster Tools and make sure that see what Google is saying. They might give you a clue as to why you're doing the W bounce too. Oh, you do? Wow. Okay, I just missed it then. Is there anything in Google Webmaster Tools? Have you gotten any messages recently? Okay. Yeah, 60% bounce on a site.
With no video engagement is pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, insurance sites just tend to have a lot of bounces because of the nature of who and what they are, but it also means that you're not getting people to opt in to. Let me just take a look at that front.
Yeah, there's a reason that State Farm Insurance is doing the State Farm is Here viral commercials, where they chant the name and the guy pops up, because they're engaging, they're intriguing. So, it doesn't hurt to put a little bit of that stuff on your site.
Yeah,
insurance
definitely.
Companies. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for the homepage. Probably because they need to go to the map. Also, you might try some KML, some local. I haven't looked at the site enough to know if you can. I'm working with a couple of different local directory themes that are working really well. I mean, it's scary actually with the KML files, the map-based locators. But it really depends on what you're trying to do with that.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
I'd probably recommend some local.
That's good. Your calls to action on the top of the page are good.
Yep, they make me very happy. You're making it clear that that they need to get a quote, so that Yes, there is yes, Alex, there is, and that's a strategy. I don't know. I don't want to get too much into local. She's looking now, though, so we'll see here. In order to use a lot of the local directories, I've been submitting to some various local directories, and Stu has as well. You'll have to have a physical address. I didn't check to see if you do.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, and you can't really do. Yeah, but you're going to have, if you want to go down to the local level and bring some of those down to the ground, you've got to get. Okay, well, if that's a problem, we do have that solution. You can just email them. There is a way for you to get local addresses in various cities, but you have to determine whether you have the finances to do it. Because it's not super expensive, but it's not cheap. I mean, you want to be cash flow positive. Yeah, there's a way around. Yeah, you can get one in every city if you want. And in fact, Sue's doing this right now for one client, and I've recently had to do it for one. Yeah, okay, no problem. Just give us a help desk ping. Hopefully you're a member of Network Empire. If you're not, you should be. And that's one of the benefits. Contact us, and we'll give you all that information, okay? And that's when you can start playing around with, is it KHL file, Sue, or KML?
KML.
Yeah, it's KML files. That's where you get into local micro formats, and allows Google to know that your map is where it is on the map, and definitely associates those with keywords and the 7-pack and all these other things. It's pretty interesting where it's all going.
Yeah, you can get into you can get a Google page up on that too, and then you can really start to rock. Because if you can get into that map pack.
Well, you'll simply crush it. I mean,
Yeah.
Sue's doing that for a client right now, and it's nobody knows. Very few people know how to do it. They don't understand the difference between local and Google legacy. They don't know what a KML file is, and they don't really understand how to organize their site. It's not that different. It's just how you set up the directory. Would you agree
Yeah.
with that, Sue?
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm lying. All right. Is it
Okay.
possible? Is this the last you want to do today? Can we move on and
Yeah.
give Brendan a little love?
Yeah.
Can we do one more?
Um, we'll
Or
have to
no?
make it quick.
Oh, too bad.
We can
Sorry,
make it
Brendan.
quick. Come on.
Okay, she'll have a quick once over. His site is, I don't want to leave him
No.
hanging. Thecreditboyz.com, B-O-Y-Z. And thank you very much, Alex, for putting yourself on the line there. I know it can be a little bit, harrowing. And Brendan, don't worry about a thing. This is a private, closed group, guys, so nobody's taking this talk outside of our group. So
Why did
he's
we get
afraid that
insurance and credit in the same call? Like, that's just crazy.
well, he's saying that's a little bit spammy. He knows that. And he doesn't care.
And you don't care. All right. So long as you don't care.
Well, we don't care either. We're just going to tell you how it is. Click and clack here. Let's see.
All right.
You've been busy, huh, Brendan?
No kidding.
It's a
best
test site.
credit card. Yeah.
It's a test site for me,
So,
just messing around.
So you know that doesn't win me any. Like that, you're bleeding your page rank there. You're bleeding your thematic. I mean, I know it's all about credit, but are these the only two silos? Site use when you get random ideas. Okay. All right, cool. Are these the only two silos you're going to have, or are you planning on more silos? Okay. Only two silos. All right. Well then, and you're actually trying to rank for Citibank? More in the future. Oh, okay, good. More in the future. So then I would lose this menu. I would lose the drop down on the menu. Or actually, let me just take a look at it. But I suspect.
Yeah, and also, Sue, explain to our listeners and viewers why that bleeds PageRank. I think it's a huge point of confusion for people.
So what this, I tried to explain earlier. So what this does, but this is an example, so it helps, right? What this does, right. We can, let me find a place where, is the whole thing Flash? What the heck?
You're a bad boy, Brendan.
All right, go about this the old-fashioned way.
Wasn't
page source? It's just not giving me. I'm not popping up the page source option. So let me find your. It's a separate
topic, Rube. It's a separate topic, Rube, and whether there's too many ads. So we'll address that later.
Yeah, I think that's the only monetization he's got going on. So Java. I'm looking for, here we go. So you see here, this is your HTML for your menu, right? So you've got every single page on your entire site right here, and it's going to look like that, I'm sure, on every single page, right? So when every single page links to every single page, then the page rank just flatlines. So in other words, I don't think you've got a lot of page rank on the home page. Let me just bounce back there. You've got a page rank 2 on the home page, and you've got a page rank nothing on the bottom, and on best credit card.
Are you buying pre-existing page rank sites again, Brendan?
See, you got no page rank on the silo, and that's the thing. The same way that you've got no page rank on the pages. And the reason for that is that your page rank, that page rank 2 ought to be giving you at least a page rank 1 on the silo landing pages if it were actually siloed. But since you've got everything, everywhere, that page rank 2 that you've got on the home page, because all your inbound links, I guarantee you, are going to your home page, is just washed across the entire site. And so then everybody ends up with nothing. So then you have to have a lot more page rank not on this one. I don't know if you're I didn't see when you actually said that. So remove the drop down. Yeah, that's the quick answer. That will get you more page rank on your site of landing pages. So let's see what else is going on here. You've got, one of the things I look for is to see if you've got style sheets actually embedded or if they're add-ons, and these are add-ons. So that makes it faster to load, right? They're in style sheet.
How are you telling that real quick, just at a glance?
It's right here. I can see the style sheet information is here in your style sheets. And as I look down, by the time I get to your body, you don't have a lot of other style sheet information. And the scripts are all contained in source files. So, I mean, you've got a little bit of style information here, but it's not bad. It's fine. So that's going to make your site faster to load. Some themes, they're terrible. They throw all of the style information into all of your individual pages, and it makes it just horrendously slow. Got your Google Analytics. Should look just for, now the metadata for keywords, Google doesn't really use too much. They put a little bit of, like 1/10 of a point on it, but it's not too much. But Yahoo, MSN, and other search engines still use the keyword. I think Yahoo and MSN still use it. Like, that's kind of like you need a crystal ball to figure out what gets ranked on MSN and Yahoo. But I know other search engines use it. I know if I put them in, I'm going to get a little bit more traffic off of other search engines. So I typically put keywords in there. I'm not worried about somebody else ripping off my keywords, which is why some SEO people say don't use it.
Right.
And then obviously the article, the page title and the description, which I'm not seeing here. Discover credit card. You should have a title in here somewhere. Title, there we go. So City credit card. The credit card boys. The credit card boys is going to be your title, or the credit boys, sorry.
Yeah, he needs to change that. He knows.
Okay, good. Yeah, put something in there so that what happens when you're looking at a SERPs result is your title becomes, let's just do this for a second. Your title, if you have one, your title becomes this right here, and your description becomes this right here. And so the more engaging you make that, the more people are going to click on it. And when you hit the front page, well, for that matter, anywhere you are, the more that people click on the results, the more you're going to move up the results. Google looks at that. If you're getting clicked on, then they're like, okay, this site is relevant, especially when it's not bounces. This site is relevant for this particular topic, and so that helps to actually move you up the SERPs. So you want an engaging title and description. There's no guarantee that they'll actually use the title and description, but they use it more than not. And if you don't have a title and description, they will just pull out of the middle of your page whatever part they deem is relevant based on the keyword that somebody typed in, and that's almost guaranteed to not get you a click. So I can't say that, but it's much less likely than when you actually take a few minutes and think about it from a marketing perspective and put in there something that's going to be engaging. So he's got descriptions, he's got City credit card, don't get ripped off, save a packet and get a ton of free items. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll take 60 seconds. I suppose if I were looking for a credit card, I might click on that. That's not too bad. It's not bad. I mean, he does have a call to action in there, and he's got, I'll take 60 seconds. Like, that's good. It's a lot of that's too many keywords. This was for the home page, right? That's way too many keywords. I would say 7 or 8 keywords. I think you got over a dozen there. Scripts, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go back to the site. Well, let me just look at the bottom first for a sec. Come on. Lots of content. As I scroll down through there, there's really decent content, especially for a homepage. And you're using a cache, make sure, W3 total cache, make sure it's going to be fast. Cool. Bottom looks fine. Back to the site. So then, yeah, as we go through here, that's our plugin, isn't it? It's making that lovely. We're adjusting that. I will get that fixed this week. So that right now you've got no control. It's theme-based. The font size for your inserts. Wow. Oh, that's because I'm actually down in the, let me look home again. Helps when I'm on the page I think I'm on. So if you actually want somebody to read this, it's a lot of content. It's great. Search engines love content. The font's not too small, but the gray on white makes it a little bit harder to read, and so much content is actually a little bit overwhelming. I would pull some stuff out into some bullet points.
What theme are you using there, Brendan? Looks like, is it okay if I share that with the group? Okay. iFeature Pro. Don't use it. Actually, I'm sure that it's fine. Do you have a font control inside the feature control panel? Because some themes really don't, and I won't use themes that don't have color control. Okay, yeah, it's a real pain because that gray can break you, like literally. It can break your bank. You got to have a little bit larger. Take a look at how much time and energy Thesis put in. I'm not saying that I necessarily like Thesis, but they spent most of their time making sure that font flexibility and kerning was completely flexible for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's very, very important.
Yeah. And I mean, just when I look at this versus when I look at this, like this just gives you an idea of what white space around your text is going to do. This becomes really easy to read. And this is just kind of like, I'd have to really want to read it. Nothing, you know, the headlines are the only things that really jump out at me because it's the only thing that's got any kind of white space around it. So
yeah, exactly.
Now if what you're wanting to do is to actually have somebody click on your ads, then this works really well because I'm not inclined to read it. But this is big and it's in color, and if I were going to do something, I'd probably either fill this out or click on an ad. But if you're looking for stickability, this is not an engaging page. There's your images, your slideshow at the top is good, but there's no vids. There's a lot of text without any images. So, yeah, that's just my initial comment on the homepage.
Jim, I would say that be really careful with the amount of credibility you give to Copyscape. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I mean, it has its uses, especially when you're burning out, you know, hundreds of video sites or whatever. But like I run some of my stuff through Copyscape that's doing really, really well, and it gets plenty of duplicate results back. But that's because they're all outside on my network on Scoopit and Storify and everything else.
Right.
You know? So it doesn't mean anything to me anymore the way that it does when you're using the network empire, when you're using Sue's web ring system, or when you're using my one feed concepts. It just doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, I mean, the way that it stands right now is duplicate content on different domains makes absolutely no difference at all if you've got duplicate content on the same domain.
Yes.
And Google's trying to figure out which page it is that you really want to display. And they'll tend to rank one page and not index the rest of them. So then you want to use a canonical tag to tell them which page you want to actually have indexed. If you've got, and sometimes you can't afford duplicate content. You've got the same content and you want to put it in 2 or 3 different places for visitor usability, and I completely understand that. But then just use the canonical tag and say, this is the one that's important to me in this silo because blah, blah, blah. If it's going to come up in the search engines, I want this to be the page that gets referenced. And then you don't have an issue with it. Now, I've heard Google making noises that they want to start trying to track the original content. At the moment, if, let's say you've got, Well, at the moment, let's say that you've got your original blog post on your blog, and then you've got your easing articles plugin, and you on your blog, and you hit the little plugin, and it automatically uploads the exact copy of your blog post to easing articles. And easing articles, because it's an authority site, outranks you for your own content in a matter of minutes, right? So, or somebody else, quote, borrows your content, unquote, to be really nice about it. I mean, I've had people just completely steal all of my content because it was quality content. It drives traffic and inbound links. And so Google is talking about trying to figure out how they can determine what the original source of the content is and be able to credit that and not give any credence to the copies. But they haven't done it yet. I mean, they've been talking about it for a very long time.
Yeah, and Ruben asks a very good question, which I'd like to address.
Sure.
Although the relative plus author tag is something I'm a huge fan of, and I'm using it for all of my stuff, as an author, especially as a curating author, and hopefully you guys know that the author is the Google Plus, like at the bottom of your, Sue, you can probably show them an example on one of our blogs, like, I don't know, theme-zoom or something. They don't really have any ability yet, and they will. I agree with Sue 1,000%. Probably within the next 3 to 5 years, they'll probably be tracking the original source of a meme or an idea. I don't know, but yeah, if you just scroll down, this is pretty badly formatted, but there's the author tag, and there's one that's being removed at the bottom, but go all the way up. That one's not a real author tag. This one is the one at the bottom was when I hacked the Plus author system before it was actually public, really. So then I added the correct one with a different plugin, and this is the right one. This is an author tag about Russell. This connects to your Google dashboard, and we're going to talk about this in the upcoming free webinar Tuesday on G+. And then the one feed to rule them all will get a little bit into Google+. Now, the thing is that even if I copy and paste something from, that doesn't guarantee original content, Ruben. Okay, what it does is it does give my picture and my image, and it holds me personally accountable as a verified Google Plus name for any content that I post, beg, borrow, or steal. Okay, so I could get busted a lot easier, you know, for stealing content from, and it's obvious to anybody that I steal content from who's stealing it, right? Especially if it's a verified name, which is where they're moving everybody to. And we're going to get into this. I talk a lot about this in my Google Plus course, which members have access free at networkempire.com. But it is important that you know that the real author tag does not guarantee the original source of a meme. And Jim, to answer your question, yeah, I know where you're coming from. Yeah, it's great to check, you know, news sites for the index page and so on and so forth. But the real question will be if you're already getting traffic and you're doing really well, and if you check those sources in Copyscape and they're completely different, and it's obvious borrowing or remixing, you might want to suggest to your client that they actually write something 100% unique for the index page. So yes, Jim, of course, everything still stands. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that, I was just checking with you, Jim, to make sure that you knew that multiple, you know, like Copyscape. I've watched people who like check every little thing on their site for copyright. Like 2 hours later, I'm going and it's like, it's totally meaningless. And I just want to make sure you don't, you know, give too much power to Copyscape.
Cool.
All right, I think we need to wrap this up, you guys.
I think so.
We're going to do this next Tuesday. Next month. First Tuesday next month. Same Tuesday, 1 o'clock, same time. Everybody's off daylight savings time now, right, Sue? So we're back on the saddle here. Yeah. That's why Jim missed it. I think he did not get caught up. He didn't get the daylight savings time. So we're going to wrap this all up. I appreciate everything. A special thanks to Alex and Brendan for having the gumption to drop links. Yeah. And Brendan, hey, keep it up. I really appreciate you showing us your test site, so on and so forth. Wilhelm, I wanted to add to you, Wilhelm, before we go, we're working on the issue with the WordPress thing, and you know, contact us if you have any deeper questions about how we may be able to create something for you on that, okay? Because we do want to see what you're struggling with the siloing. I know it's an issue for everyone. Sue is madly working on the next version of the Silo Blog Builder, and please do sign up for tomorrow's Domain Web Studio webinar, which we're going to go over tab number 4. Okay, and you can go to networkempire.com and sign up right there on the home page if you're not already signed up. And you're welcome, Don. Thanks, June. Jim. And we'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon, same bat time, 1 o'clock. And then on Thursday, replays for all of these, of course. I know you guys have a life as well. On Thursday, we're going to have the Kraken webinar with Sue, where we're going to go through some stuff again. All right.
Excellent.
Anything to add, Stu, in close?
I think that's it. Thanks so much, guys, for joining us. This has been fun.
Been a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Sue Bell, for your time and energy and giving away so much value in this last 2 hours. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thank you, Russell.
Bye-bye.
Bye.